you know, it gets pretty boring around whatever the fuck this place is. So I'm gonna do what I do best and watch a GeekTunes video or something.
Of being a teenager as well as a parent, and that to me at least makes it stand out above the crowd. Anyways, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at GeekTunes and join my Discord server to hang out with me and other cartoon fans. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Hey, wait a fucking minute! Why didn't he review the second Goofy movie? That's miles better. Did he just forget? Or maybe it's my destiny to review this movie. Yup, I'm reviewing the second Goofy movie. Let's go. The original Goofy movie was definitely a great movie. It has great characters, great music, great animation, and an overall great story with a heartwarming ending. I watched this movie around 2 weeks ago, and I just remembered that there was actually a sequel, so my curiosity piqued and I decided to look it up. And yes, there was another Goofy movie by the name An Extremely Goofy Movie, and I actually do remember watching this movie in my childhood. I watched it 2 or 3 times, but I remember really liking it for some reason. I mean, it was Goofy with skateboards. How could you not like this movie? So after watching the movie, what are my thoughts on it? Was it as good as I really remembered, or was I just nostalgia blind? In today's video, I plan to talk about An Extremely Goofy Movie and why, in my opinion, it's a great sequel. So welcome to why An Extremely Goofy Movie is the perfect sequel. So after Goofy's son, Max, goes to college with his friends PJ and Bobby, Goofy's empty nest syndrome causes him to falter at work, causing a massive explosion at this toy assembly factory, and resulting him getting fired. At the unemployment office, Goofy is told that he needs to get a college degree to get another job. In the meanwhile, Max meets Bradley Uppercrust III, who is a veteran skateboarder in their college, who offers Max to join their fraternity, but Max decides to turn it down due to his friends not being with him. With that being said, Bradley Uppercrust takes this as a threat and decides to become arch nemesis with Max. So if you didn't know, yes, he is in fact the main villain of this movie. Meanwhile, with Goofy still trying to find a college degree, he finds this the perfect opportunity to bond with his son, and so he decides to go to his son's university, where he becomes an actual big star, and even has a girlfriend in the end. So overall, the plot of this is actually pretty simple, but the execution of it is absolutely brilliant. You see, unlike other Disney sequels that came around that era, An Extremely Goofy Movie feels like a good step up from what its original predecessor was. It feels like an actual sequel, unlike another shoo-in sequel that they just created just for money. Also, I want to get this out of the way. The movie's ridiculous, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of stupid and fun moments, but there also is a lot of maturity and heart in some moments that definitely hit hard, and it gives us a clear indication of what the beauty of the message of this movie is. But we're not there yet. So overall, An Extremely Goofy Movie's story is simple, but the execution truly is great. But with that being said, let's talk about the visuals of this movie. For a direct-to-video movie, this movie looks actually really nice. It's definitely a step up from its predecessor, and it has a bit of a more cartoony style to the facial expressions and towards the movement. That and the backgrounds look extremely nice. The color choices that they chose for this is a more or less 1980s disco style, which definitely fit the movie. But definitely, one of the best things about the animation in this movie is that the animators weren't really scared to try new stuff with the animation. And also something that the animation does well is expressing the character's emotion without even saying a word. This is the art of show, not tell. One perfect example of this is that one scene where Max finally goes to college and Goofy's left alone. You can perfectly tell what his emotions are. He's obviously happy that his son is finally going to college, don't get me wrong, but he's also devastated to see him leave the house and living his own life so soon. He's devastated and heartbroken. And the best thing about it is that this scene has absolutely no talking in it, because it's perfectly confident for the viewer to know what Goofy's feeling at the moment. And that's a perfect example of show not tell. There's also various show not tell scenes in this movie, but they're obviously spoilers for the meaning of this entire movie. But we're not there yet. So overall, the animation is definitely a step up from the original movie. But what's animation without its characters? The original cast in the first Goofy movie were a cast of charmingly wonderful characters. And how are they in this movie? Well, let's find out. First, we have Bill Farmer as Goofy, and he's always the lovable goof that we all know and love, but still has a heart of gold, and keeps in track of what his son is doing. Speaking of Goofy's son, Max, he's in the movie. While he isn't the focus like he was in the first movie, he's still there, and he's still the lovable, cocky, troublemaking guy we all knew and loved from the first film. And then we have Bebe Neuwirth as Sylvia Marple, who is known as the college librarian and Goofy's love interest in the movie. I would definitely consider her the Roxanne in this movie, and she kinda reminds me of Jane from My Wife and Kids. She's sassy and funny, but also a bit naggy. Hey, wait a fucking minute, where's Roxanne in this entire movie? She was one of the main reasons why Max did most of the shit he did in the first movie, and like, didn't they start dating after at the ending of the first movie? And her not to even be mentioned in this movie, like, what the fuck was all that about? DuckTales 2017 did her more justice than this entire movie. Let that fucking sink in. And then we have Bradley Uppercrust III, the movie's main antagonist. He's not really that threatening. He's not even a good villain, but I'm just gonna say it, this guy's fucking hilarious. I mean, you can't really take this guy seriously, but that's the main problem with this guy. He wants to be taken so seriously, and then we have scenes like this.
And that was a great cheat. But now, I have a better plan.
And then you're like, what? But yeah, this guy's a comedic villain, and they just take full advantage of it. There's also other characters such as Max's friends, PJ and Bobby, which are okay characters for the most part. But overall, these are the main characters. They're, for the most part, really good. An extremely goofy movie probably has one of, if not the most mature and beautiful lesson I have ever seen in a Disney movie. You see, towards the beginning and the end of the film, you can see that Goofy's a bit sad because, you know, his son Max is going to college. He's afraid of being left all alone. This is eventually when he hits his biggest rock bottom and loses his job and has to get a college diploma. This is where he decides to go to Max's college to spend a bit more time with them. And then towards the middle of the movie, Max tells him off and says that he never wants to see him in his life. This is where we get the hallucination scene, where Goofy has a dream where he finally has a good time with Max, just for Max to then betray him and then leave him in a white void, being alone and for no one to love him. But once he goes back home with Pete, he soon realizes something. in order for you to not lose anything, you just don't give up. If you really want a diploma and to keep your relationship with your son, never give up and just talk it out. Communication is key, and that's definitely one of the most beautiful things I've seen this movie do. That's why I feel like this moral hinders more into an adult audience than it does children, because sooner or later, parents are going to have to deal with something like this. And the best way to keep a relationship with your children is to just talk it out, because communication is key for keeping a good relationship. Overall, while I am happy to see so many people finally talk about the original Goofy movie, I feel like people should finally give some attention to the sequel that it clearly deserves. Sure, it isn't as good as the first Goofy movie, but it still has a great story, great animation, good characters, and an overall amazing moral. I highly recommend checking this movie out if you have Disney+. So overall, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. An overall great Disney sequel. So this Disney sequel was pretty good. I remember there being more. So, are those good? Will I review them? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Hell, why not share it with other people? Consider following me on Twitter and join my Discord server. Have a nice day, everybody.